So guys, we're back after learning the backstory of Alan. Let's continue, yes. Welcome back. Well, when you look at that, all 5 of your essences are in pristine condition. This is wonderful news. Wonderful news, you say? Yes. I am supremely satisfied with all of the progress we've made thus far. It's a little hard not to get excited at the prospect of your 5 essences combining into one again. And why do you want that? In preparation for the war. I've scoured so many territories and recruited so many individuals. I've split and rejoined so many essences. So many of them were duds. However, there are others, like yourselves, a few in number which show promise. A few blooming flowers in a garden of rotting, mold-infested filth. Our affinity is growing, even as we speak. I don't understand. Our affinity? I can't say that I've known you for very long, LB, but you don't strike me as the divinely benevolent type. Nonetheless, we've been under your control for God knows how long now. I think I speak for all of us when I say that it's time for you to fess up and stop with all the cryptic riddles. Are you sure you don't want to take a breather? I'm aware of how taxing looking at one's past is. I'm not tired if you guys aren't. I'm in an uncovering truth sort of mood. I can't. I'm in an uncovering truth sort of mood right now. Are you guys? I'm eager as well to learn why Alan was sent here, and why we had to leave the Kingdom of Glass. Yeah, buddy, you better tell us the truth, or you'll be cruising for Brucin. How'd I get crushing? Mr. Bracket Boy, sir. We need to know what will become of ourselves, of Alan. Let me clear up a misconception. Although you originate from one essence, each of you are truly your own entities. In the same way that your mailman may be a different person than your dentist, each of you are your own selves. But it is possible for you 5 to rejoin again. That is the only way you will become Alan once more. When time's right, I plan to do just that. But I need your word that you will serve me beforehand. Do I need to repeat myself? How are we supposed to know what we're serving if you won't ever tell us who you are? You get your information shortly, but I am letting you know the end goal of our engagement. I don't like the sound of serving someone. What if we say no? It will be a terrible shame, of course, but I will allow it. You will join the great essence of souls around you, forever floating through the transitional. For all intents and purposes, you will cease to exist. Your personality is Alan, no more than echoes of the minds of the few who knew you when you were alive. But me and Liam met so many people in the Kingdom of Glass. What about them? Well, they'll remember you too, of course. I hope this doesn't come off as selfish, but I don't want our journey to come to an end here. I feel like, knowing what we know now, we haven't even begun to realize our full potential. Truly. Potential? Yes, that is good, Anna. But I don't know about fighting in a war. The war is merely what I have dubbed my conflict. Rest assured that it will not be the kind of fighting which comes to mind most in wars. Probably, anyway. Not if we can contain the threat. You should know that siding with me could potentially create more pain and suffering than you've ever experienced in your short life. Remember, each individual's rock bottom is different, and there is no true limit or bottom to suffering really. An even lower plateau is always possible. But so is the chance at happiness. Going back to your old existence and righting what was wrong. If you do experience an even harsher existence, I promise you that I will try my best to harness that energy positively. Your life was a hard one by conventional first world standards, but many throughout history have lived much crueler lives, filled with disease and abuse and torture. Why should it be a contest for who suffers the most? What is the point of that? Yeah, that's right. It's not really fair to compare suffering. Everyone handles stuff in different ways. It is for me, because, you see, I am rock bottom itself, and my suffering is still going on. I will tell you some information. I'll tell you some of the information you want to know now, but you will have to follow me to my office. We're not heading far, but, as a word of caution, do not let go of my energy as we cross. A lone essence in the transitional is as good as dead, in most cases. That is what they want for us. They want everyone to become this worthless filth around you. Who is they? Follow me, and I will explain everything. Hey, my head feels kind of funny. It won't be long now. You know, seeing the office of a territory lord is somewhat of a rare thing, even for those of you who have gone through similar events that the three of you have. You can open your eyes now. You've arrived. Whoa! Welcome to my reality. Welcome to the office of a territory lord. Please, for your own safety, do not go wandering off. Your physical forms cannot sustain themselves well enough in the transitional. Not yet, anyway. Yo, RB, this place is huge. I'm talking at least 15 football fields huge. Maybe even more. Yeah, it's large, and quite pretty too. I've always been fond of the stars, but I never thought I'd actually get to see them in that person. Zane, you live in a place like this? Oh, no. Live might not be the right word, but I do dwell in here when there is progress to be made. This is where I work. Yeah, this place is great and all, but unlike these chums, I'm not distracted by parlor trip. You said you'd explain your cryptic bullshit, so go on. Explain everything. Now. As soon as Neil is ready. Alright, Neil. What are you? Oh, what? Why are you so focused on that shape to the left? No. You can't look away, can you? I think I understand. Heck, is that really? I think it is. What is our tank doing here? How astute. I'm surprised you recognized it so quickly. I know every square inch of your tank, as does Axie and Nana. All my territories, possible recruits, and projects are gathered along this wall. But do not mistake that square for your tank. Not in the literal sense. There is much you don't understand about how my kind works. But for the sake of swiftness, I suppose I could call this representation of your tank something like akin to a live hologram. Is the kingdom around here as well? Somewhere, yes. It was not an arbitrary decision to send you there, you know. I see you still cannot take your eyes off the tank, Neil, even though there are so many wonders just out of your view. Ah, I'm curious. Do you wish to fully... Do you should be fully formed that badly? I expect that you'll see the waters again, one last time before you all form into one single essence. To say that I split you into 5 is wrong. The tank is part of your greater self too. A part without emotions, to be sure, but an important part nonetheless. You say that we'll go back there? Yes, that is the plan. The tank is a small, fragile, and temporary reality, much like yourselves. If all goes accordingly, you will bring your essences in the tank, and the kingdom with you in whatever form you will take in the future. And what form is that exactly? A weapon. It will be a powerful weapon, under my control. I have earned the right. I have earned that right, because I saved your lowly essence from that more unfortunate fate, and because you and we have an affinity for one another. Hey, I don't follow. I know you want us under your control, but as a weapon? Yes, a weapon in order to help me beat them. I'm so glad that you are here. The closer you are to me, the further away you are from them. Why do we want to get away from what you're talking about? Come closer, all of you. To learn about him, you will need to learn about me. Hopefully, this little briefing will clear up any misconceptions you have about how you ended up here. Originally, you come from a reality called Earth, a reality revolving around the sentient beings known as humans. Territory lords can, sometimes, with the power of great enough affinity, create personal realities for those who may become potential minions. There are many realities out there, all across the transitional. It is wider and grander than you could ever imagine. There are even Earths which can parallel to the one you inhabited before you came here. For example, our observer, Scaly, I really regret naming myself that, comes from one of those parallel realities. Wait, hold up, this is really confusing. What the heck is Scaly? I wish I could change that. I really wish I could. And are they the one we should be wary of? No. Perhaps I should not overload you with so much information. Let's start with who I am first. You want to know about me, don't you? Who I am and what I want? Clearly. My name is Arby, and I am a being known as a territory lord. There are many territory lords out there, each with a different purpose, inhabiting different territories, using various meanings for different purposes. My friend, Daredevil, for example, deals with essences who frequently blur the line between life and death. Am I recording? I need to check. Roll XD. I am indeed. Time Sync gives power to those who invest much of their lives into an activity that never paid off for them. There are others too, of course. Unrequited, selfless, vanity, grudge, reclaimed. The list goes on and on. There are a finite amount of us, 29 in all. Territory lords exist wherever there is sentient life. We are real, of course, but due to our nature of being outside of the general time flow, we are not known by many. The experiences and stories of essences across realities give power to the universal concepts, which you could say is our manifestation. We are not totally omnipresent, but we do have certain abilities. A few of these abilities may even benefit Q5 in the near future. As Rock Bottom, I deal with you creatures whose identity are defined by their lowest points. There's a certain word you should know that's important between all territory lords and enemies. Affinity. I have affinity with you guys, in some way, shape, or form, which is why I was able to bring your essence back. But please, do not make the common mistake of minions and get affinity confused with empathy. If a territory lord has a certain affinity with an essence, well, under certain circumstances, we can bestow a certain amount of power upon them. In my case, the lower the point I feel someone has reached, the more power I can give them. But territory lords have limits too. We must hedge our bets carefully, decide who we want to invest our resources in. As the name implies, we territory lords have places as well where we and our minions are more powerful. Okay, but places that are essentially ours, and other territory lords aren't often welcome. Your tank, the Kingdom's Glass, this office, and many other areas are under my territory, and this is where my power thrives. The hometown where you were born, Enciosis, is not one of my territories. Enciosis is a very important area, but does not yet belong to one single territory lord. You could say that Enciosis is the reason I sought you out in the first place. Oftentimes, territory lords will vie for power, resulting in conflicts. You may have been born in a peaceful place, in a peaceful era, but do not doubt, a war has been breaking out in the shadows. So, that's what you meant by war? A squabble between you gods. It's much more than that, you know. The fate of everything is on the line. Surely we experienced some tragedy in our life, and surely, if what you say is true, you may be able to give us power. But was there nobody else in our world you could use? I have many candidates in many worlds, but in yours, none. There were other candidates I considered from Enciosis, of course. There are many others who have suffered just as much, if not more than you, but the rest of Earth was off limits. It is possible, however, to take essences from other realities and insert them into Enciosis, and, in fact, I may do that in the near future. But having you as a native helps me set an anchor to that time period. If all goes according to plan, you will be useful in more ways than one. In a sense of selection, however, you were one of only a few options in that town. Other territory lords are preparing other agents to go there as well. But why is the town of Fische so special? It has been designated as the one place where many territory lords will soon unite, and war will break out. And I mean to send you back there. We'll go back? You could really go back? We could really go back. Those days, the ones you call dead days. Those days of your past where my power will shine. Even the ones from your early youth. Because of your lack of input in those days, I may be able to rewrite time and send you back. That is a big if though. I theorize there may be danger. Even if I am unable to bestow upon you the amount of power to you as Alan. The greatest affinity I have with essences is when they reach a low point, but never give in completely to dying. As I told Ank once before, most essences do not interact with territory lords directly. When you died and came into my possession, I examined your essence, saw the promise you made to yourself, that no matter what, you would never give in to killing yourselves, and instantly recognized the potential you could have as my minion. I split your essence into 5 parts, 6 if you count the enclosed reality of your tank, and attempted to guide you those few times you ventured out into transitional. William and Ank ended up in here first. They are the 2 parts of Alan who were the most in conflict with each other, so I thought it important that they spend some time together. That's one hell of a way of a bonding exercise. So let me get this straight. You put us in a tank, erase our memories, and just hope for the best? That's right. You've just seen for yourself how foggy my view of your tank was. I could not directly view the inside contents. The only way we were able to interact would be if you guys came through the void, which you did. The void is, partly, a doorway to the transitional. Transitional is where all essences go when they die. But for territory lords, and those with enough resolve and power not to be ingested by it, transitional is a seemingly infinite highway which connects every reality. So the message in my journal, though, from the beginning, you wrote that to us to prepare us for this, I guess. But what about all those items that used to come through the void? The books and the other weird messages. Other messages? Sure, I have sent you some. Sure, I may have sent you one at the start, but it's not like there was some grand correspondence between us. Wait, hold on. What about the items? Fine, stop. What did you say? During the early days, there were various items, mostly books, that came to the void. Eventually, they just kind of stopped coming in. That is troubling. The items should not have stopped. Their purpose was to accelerate your emotional growth. Personal realities, such as your tank, often respond to subconscious desires made by the inhabitants. Since the tank is a greater part of your conscious, the items would be in response to what you need most of the time. That in itself would not be surprising. You're saying the items from the void came in at your intervals at the start, and then what? They just stopped? That's right. Early on, too. The void should not have stopped giving you items, even up to the very end. I really thought that all 5 of us were in some sort of competition, and you were the one who stopped the void from working, as you designated Ank as the winner. It seems you may have misinterpreted my message. It was a riddle early on, yes. But the answer to that should have been clear from the moment you 5 realized you were all in one. Oh, my nose itches. I realized you were all one single entity split into 5. So, the other messages weren't from you, Alu. There were 3 at least. I was obsessed with figuring out the truth to them for quite some time, so I'm not mistaken on this. No, I sent you only one message with your notebook as soon as the tank was formed. Was there anything else odd about your lives there? Yes. Sometimes it started to bother me. You said you couldn't see or interact with us when you were inside the tank. That is correct. It was your reality. I couldn't risk changing the project with my own hands. Everything in the tank sands? What? Sense? Those few items from the transitional is part of your greater whole. Although I'm starting to understand what by giving a closer eye on you may have been more beneficial than I thought. But you were just one of many part of one project of many. I couldn't predict if you'd reach this stage or not. A long time ago, when I was lost in pain, sick, and frightened in tank, I remember obsessing over an eye that would watch us from the outside. You saying that I was you. I've even mentioned it to you before, Abby, I think. Earlier, you've mentioned someone saying named Skilly. Being an observer or something. Could it have been them? This eye. If you are to assume that it was not one of your delusions, and that your suffering attracted its gaze. No, the eye was not scary. I see now that, perhaps, I've made a big mistake. By not looking at the tank, the primary subject of this recruitment, I've been missing critical information. Oh, he angry. That. They. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm trying to act professional right now, but the truth is, I'm seething with anger. What do you mean? It looks like reforming your essences into one again might be impossible after all. And it is my fault. Huh. But you just said... Liam, I called Scaly here to observe you, sure, but it's impossible that they are this eye you mentioned. Scaly comes from a universe so distant that even I can barely speak to them. Even then, our conversations are often one-sided and somewhat distorted. I merely open up a small window for them to watch. Just as people in many realities can watch television or read books or play games, it does not mean they can directly influence what they observe. The purpose of calling Scaly was to observe your reality. They come from the dimension which can give power and they come from the dimension which can give power and credence to those they observe. That is common knowledge amongst territory lords. But bearing very specific and very unusual circumstances, none of which we have here, they cannot directly interact with beings from other territories. Realities. Wait. No, I can't. Fuck, I can't go back. Forgot. I feel like a fool for not asking you more details about your time in the tank. Even after all this time, I still make big mistakes. So, if the eye watching you so long wasn't Skitty, then who was it? I think I've got a good idea. I've told you to be prepared for war. But you should know, a war is only really a war when there are two or more opposing sides. In recent times, many territory lords have had our dominions shrink and our powers weaken. What we thought may have been just another conflict in our long history turned out to be much more. Even among mankind, there is one who stands out as, currently, the most powerful. If they're involved in this already, then I'm not sure what to do. Tell me, was there anything else strange that happened during your time in the tank? Oh, well, you never explained to us who the babies are. We've had a lot to process, so we haven't brought them up yet. Babies? Yes, it happened a couple of years after Liam and Enk left, after the Void stopped giving us items regularly. We can't assume that, for a while, they were Liam and Enk reincarnated or something. It turned out they were slowly doing damage to the tank by eating up all the plants. At least that's what I think. Last time we saw them, they tried to stop us from leaving the tank, which would have killed us. This isn't good. For them to make the first move, it means they're aware of my plans. How many other projects of mine, aside from yours, have they attempted to spoil? How many of their plans have succeeded? Perhaps this is why I have had such a low success rate lately. When you say them, are you referring to the babies? I'm not sure yet. What other items did you get from the Void? Well, lots of supplies at first, and books. One of them was from you, then. The one with the weird message in it. Everything by Discovery of the Recode Show, the world's oldest and deadliest civilization, written by Dr. Katz. Well, I just about confirmed it. The only reason they'd share you the tale of Dr. Katz is to instill fear upon you should we reach this moment. Wait, so you know about Dr. Katz? That was a favorite book. We read it over and over each year. Dr. Katz had an affinity with me as well, and Into the book took him away. Yes, I am familiar with the journal. Most territory lords are at this point. It serves as a warning for the day when they decide to reclaim us all. Which is what a lot of us are trying to prevent. In the book, Dr. Gatz was studying something too, which I call the Ryoko. That journal is not fiction, but fact. Dr. Gatz was a real archaeologist in Reality once. He taught in a university based in Enciosis, but he got too close to them. He wanted to be their messenger, but he was ultimately deemed unworthy and was written out of existence. The journal was kind of scarce with details as to what happened at the end. We talked about it many times, so he died. Worse than death. His existence never had any influence on any person around him in the end. By erasing him, they erased every consequence he ever had in his life. All the people he met, all the property they owned. By erasing them, they had to rewrite reality. Every sentient creature has an essence, and every living creature from every reality, yours, the King of Glass, Scalies, even the world where the territory lords interact. They were all one in... Oh my god. They were all one at the very start of existence. Their ultimate goal, what we were trying to prevent, is for them to merge all realities together once again. All the territory lords on my side are recruiting their best minions. I am no different. You were to become one of my envoys to Enciosis in the war come. I suspect these babies are envoys too. Scouts of their army. Their goal in getting to the tank, corrupting and killing the three of you, was to halt my action and gaining more powerful minions. They must know of my plan to reform E5 into one, and have you claim a part of Enciosis. What a shame. Well, what do you mean? When you plant so many trees, it is unlikely that all of them will grow. Even if it is the tree that you wanted to blossom more than anything, there's no guarantee. I am disappointed myself. I should have taken more precautions. I suppose that with E5 of you here, it's not a total loss. E5 may be valuable yet, though in a easier way than I had initially hoped. But to reform, to become Alan once again, and go back to your old life in Enciosis, that is no longer a safe possibility. Why? You need to go back to the tank in order to reform. Even if they are lowly scouts, I'm not prepared to send you back to the fight against the Ryoko. If you were to have fought them before they were in the tank, there is a good possibility you would have won. They attempted to gain your trust, and were secretly doing damage from the shadows for years. That is how our kind orders our minions. But now, the part of your essence that was on the tank is lost. But the tank is a home. It's been a home for decades now. You will have new homes under my guidance, just as Angan William did for these many years. Even if we had a good life making with us, I always want to go back to the tank. I always felt like there was some unfinished business there. I imagine these creatures are disposing of their tank now and getting ready to return back to their hive mind. I don't accept that. They shouldn't stop you from giving us power. Just like the last time you gave me power. Our whole life we've been fighting against an invisible illness. Fighting against something that's invisible should be a piece of cake. I can give you power, but I do not know how it will fare against envoys of the Ryoko. I was born a scientist, so what I say should be more calculated. But I agree with Axolotl. I think we should do it anyways. Watching my old life from when I was 11, I couldn't help but feel there was so much lost potential there. Even if there is an infinitesimally low chance, theoretically, of us returning to that time, I want to take that chance. The first thoughts I ever had in the tank were about getting back home. And you're telling us that if we can get rid of those kids and restore the tank to its former glory, it will be possible. The way I see it, if you're on the logical side of Alan, and then I'm the illogical side. For us to agree on something must mean that it's worth it. You all agree then. You want to go back. Even if it could result in your permanent deaths. Even if it is possibly futile. Yes. What was that? I don't think I'd be able to live with myself otherwise. Sim here. You took the words right out of my mouth. Well, this leaves me in a predicament. If I refuse to let you go, Sure, you resent me. I can see that. And I need you to be at your most powerful when the war comes. But should I send you back and you'll perish, well, that'd be a shame. I have many more prospects than you. Some much more powerful, as I mentioned. But none that could call Enciosis their hometown. I only had one shot at getting somewhere from Enciosis. What's that shot? Alright, fine. I knew picking a fight with the Yurikocho was going to be an uphill battle anyway. We need to hurry then. Your tank could disappear at any moment. I can't do much on a short notice, but I'm giving you my blessing, as much power as I can reasonably spare. Just as a human cannot enter an ant farm, I cannot assist you any more than this. If my minions want to bet it all, as your master, I have to accept that. You will be powerful, but I have no idea of knowing how advanced these Yurikocho scouts are. They could be a very similar development than you got, or they could be much greater. Wait. What do you do after we've taken care of the kids? I cannot observe your tank from the outside, so you'll have to come to me through the transitional again. Just go to the boy and we'll discuss the rest. Alright. We'll see you soon, RB. Good luck, you 5. Adam. Use everything at your disposal. Wear your experiences on like armor and wield it like a weapon. That is what it means to be an elite soldier of Rock Bottom. I guess this is it. We made the first move, after all. For me, at least, it'll be over soon. What an awful day. Namanek, thank you for your years of service. Axiwana and Neil, I'm sorry I never got to give you more than a touch of my blessing. I watched your life, Alan. I feel like, as one entity, you could have reclaimed many things. I'm sad I couldn't help you erase the pain of those dead days of your youth. But, against the weight of all worlds, you are but a pebble. Well, I suppose it's back to the drawing board. How will I get access to Enciosis now? This is absolutely unreal. The tank looks almost nothing like how I remembered it. You guys constructed all of this? All on your own? Oh, my boy. You should have seen what the tank looked like in its prime. Yes. For example, over there. We used to have a Colosseum built over there. With the roller coaster sweeping right at the center. I've got a recent history of the tank in my lab, if you're interested. Well, it's good to hear that you guys weren't completely slouching as we were busy making them glass. You know, it certainly hasn't even been that long since we left, but I was worried that we'd never be able to do some sort again. That was fun. But, wait. Didn't RB say that we'd become a lot more powerful? What's the deal? I feel exactly the same. Do you guys think that he was pulling our leg? At least now, the water doesn't hurt to breathe. Compared to before, that's a major improvement. So, what are these little texts you talked about? I can't wait to beat up babies. I think I see them. Over there. Standing in front of them was a trio that had been a part of Axie, Donna, and Neil's lives for so long. But it didn't look like The deadly, soul-sucking creatures RB described them as. They look like their normal selves. They're the ones who tried stopping us from getting to RB. We know who you really are now. You want to destroy this place, don't you? This is our home, but it's also yours. Maybe we didn't interact very often, but we lived in the same tank for decades together. You might have rejected affection from us, but Donna, Lexi, and I, we loved you. We treated you as best we could. We treated you like family. It's not too late to stop this. We can become a family again. Let me speak for a second again. I don't know what those words RB talked about meant. Territory lords, transitional, Ryoko show and all that. But I do know you guys. Or at least I thought I did. Listen, we're all changing. The 5 of us are growing, reflecting on our past, and moving on. Just because you were sent here on a mission to kill us doesn't mean you have to go through with it. You know, they might have to. It's either told you destroy them or you get erased. That's, you know, a pretty viable option. I'll make sure that you're okay. I'll personally risk my life over it, if you'll just talk with us. As they listened to the axolotls, please. The triplets did nothing but stare. So, you don't want to talk to them. Great. The opening will be sealed shortly. You made it. Right on time. It will. We will seal. What are they talking about? It is done. Look. Behind. The void was behind them, and it was swaying in a chaotic fashion. It looked, at once, ready to implode upon itself. Yes. It will happen. Our insurance. No matter what. Our mission was successful. Trapped in this reality. No way to return to your own master. Is the void really closing? Like, for real? This isn't good. Abby told us to go through the void when this was all over. Yes, if it closes permanently, then what are we supposed to do? But there was no time to ponder what-ifs, because it was already reality. With a deafening shockwave and explosion of light, it happened in an instant. The void, which had been a constant for as long as they could remember, was now gone. Without it, there was no way to get back to the transitional, no way to make it back to RB or to NCOSs. What the hell do we do now? If they somehow have a way to destroy it, the void, then there must be a way to bring it back again. How else are they supposed to leave? Impossible. We'll die. With you here. This insurance. Now, please. Initiate Protocol B. The 3 of them glowed and spread apart. Then, they morphed into terrifying creatures. They didn't resemble the axolotls anymore. They were something else entirely. Dark fish with glowing eyes, sharp teeth, and an angry scowl. The 3 triplets had morphed into numerous monstrosities, more creatures than they could count off the top of their heads. Is this what they were all along? No. I think from what RB hinted, they must be something even more gruesome than this. This form must be to intimidate us. Well, they're doing a good job. Those teeth look like they're here for breakfast. Brace yourselves, everyone. No. They should be the ones bracing themselves, because I'm ready to rip and tear. You could see them starting this charge. Dozens of tiny pointed teeth, with only one mission. But Hank didn't look bothered.
Oh, Bucket Boy, I can feel it. I can feel it coursing through my veins. Your blessing. This power. Is it all you got for me? Sharp teeth. I was really expecting more agents from something called everything. You're even more pathetic than I thought. I don't feel a thing.
Hank, you might be big, but you're not big enough. Some of them are getting through you. Everyone behind me. I think I feel some too. My body. My tail.
As this one charged forward, Nana hit 3 of them with her tail, and sent them flying in different directions. Hey, what about us? I want special powers too. As he said that, one bit him on his leg. Get off! Get off me! Get off my Liam! Get off my Yank! Get off my Nana! Get off my Egghead! Get the hell off my family! Well, look at that. Not too shabby. Me too. How else are we gonna get home if we don't fight?
What about you, Liam? How are you doing?
Sorry. I'm like you guys. I'm really not feeling very good right now.
What's wrong?
He was resting on the floor, curled up in a ball. He reminded her of all those years ago. Cheer up. We've been in worse situations than this. Hank was shoved backwards into the chaos. Hicks.
The eye.
The eyes.
Right in front of me.
Before, though they had enemies all around them, they suddenly realized they're falling. Everything would be pointless if they couldn't protect Liam, and right now, he was defenseless. Get to him immediately. What is that face? Nia was overwhelmed. There were enough figures bumping into him from every direction that he couldn't move. I can't get over to him. Me neither. I can barely speak in this crowd. Get off, you nasties.
They got me surrendered to you. That must be the plan. To isolate us.
Hank, due to his strength and speed, was the only one able to shove his way through the crowd. What he saw made his heart ring an alarm. The large group of Ryokosho had swarmed onto Liam, and they were now carrying him away. Without an RB blessed body to defend himself, all he could do was tighten his muscles and hope for the best. Weak. Our shining star, our prize, you, came back to us. We came here because of you.
Get off him.
It seemed for every enemy that she swatted away, 3 more appeared. They were starting to hurt, too. That wouldn't stop Enk, though. He was the only one able to chase after Liam as they dragged him towards the east side of the tank. What is this? The swarm was now obscuring his vision by flying in front of his eyes. A bunch of annoying flies in front of his face. He wanted to open his mouth, but he was afraid he might swallow some of them. Instead, he did the only thing he could do. Held his breath and plowed through them forward, mowing down as many as he could. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Do you have like 4 forearms now? 3? What is that? What happened to you? Here. What is this? I'm trying to look. So, because this has come down B's arm. So he has 3 arms? He wouldn't let his partner die. Not after Liam had saved him. Liam was stuck in haze. For the years he thought he learned to control his panic. But those terrible feelings were now back in full force. He was shivering, shaking, his breath was pounding, and he felt fragile and sick. His other halves had all transformed into more powerful bodies. Why couldn't he? And where were these creatures taking him? Why hadn't they just attacked him straight on, like they did for everyone else? He felt his limbs being pulled from different directions. He hunkered down, blocked out by the noise, and, to his best ability, focused on his breathing. His breathing had gotten him through trials before. He had to believe that everyone could save him. He'd been in worse pain than this. Much worse. This was nothing. All of a sudden, the chaos around him stopped. He still had his eyes closed. But when he tried to open them, the world around him was dark and blurry. Still, he could see a sea of scornful eyes staring at him lustfully from above. Before he could say anything, those eyes spoke to him in a million tiny voices that violated his ears. We are so lucky you came back. Waiting to feast. He recognized the place he was in. He was in front of his old rock. He knew it anywhere. They put him down next to a statue. It was that statue of himself. Yet, there were holes in it. Bite marks. The real thing. Much better. Why? Why did you take me here if you're just going to kill me? Our feeding spot. The spot that brought us to this reality. Like a fire blazing in the night, this spot was so clear. What a treat. You came back. They weren't just going to put an end to his suffering. They were going to do much worse. They wanted to feast upon him. And then, they'd go after the others. No, that was not the time to panic. Now was the time to assess the situation. Look around for his surroundings. Every moment was important. The memorial. They really made this for me, huh? They thought I died, so they made this to remember me by. In a way, it's like I never left. He'd not come across this piece of information. He'd not come across any piece of information that would help him save the situation. And they'd waited long enough. They descended upon him, teeth baring. Chomp chomp. Tiny bites from every direction instantly overpowered whatever pain he had been dealing with. He tried moving, just an inch, but that made it worse. He bit his own tongue until he felt blood coming out. He felt his consciousness starting to fade. But if he died here, it would be all over. He would rest for just a second. But they wouldn't let him rest. They jolted his body back and forth. He could do nothing but hold on and scream. He looked down to find a stub where his foot had been. Eaten up. Who needed that? Don't think anyway. I already lost an hour instinct. What good is a foot going to do for me at this stage? You could feel his heart beating out of his chest. Soon it would stop. The heartbeat echoing in his ears would cease. But he still believed. The heartbeat was strong, though. It was his essence crying out. Crying out for what? Get the fuck off of me, you little shits. There was lapse in his memory. 1 second, all the Rikojo had been gnawing on his body. The next, he was with Hank. I got him off you for now, but you're in bad shape. Hank, due to size, held Liam close with one arm. Hey, you piece of this shit. He sought to to decide. What did I tell you before? The one who gets to decide if Liam dies is me. And I decided we're going to live, so you better lay off. The swarm had done enough damage. Liam was feeble to start, and with the damage they had just dealt to him, he felt himself fading in and out of consciousness. That little taste of him had been delicious to the Ryoko show. It was all they had imagined and more. Liam's distance was worth the wait. Right now, it was their entire world. Their mission. They were going to savor this rare meal. But for the moment, they turned their gaze to Enk. That's more like it. He took his free arm and swatted several away. Give me more heads to bash. More, more, more. He did his best to punch and squish as many as he could, but there were just too many. And they were beginning to ascend upon him in angles he couldn't see coming. They sunk their teeth into his back, his head, his arms, his legs. Again, he couldn't even open his mouth without swallowing several, and he couldn't move without injuring them. This is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted you to do. Get nice and close. Give me a big hug. These brainless insects didn't know what his body was capable of, so he decided to flex his muscles. Just as this technique had once cracked an axe in two, this one was forced backwards. They went flying in all directions, while Enk breathed a sigh of relief. Glad that still works. Some were pummeled into the tank's door and evaporated into dust. Some of them were caught into the spiky sections of the rock and impaled. Many of the creatures struggled to get up. Others still, especially those that got fired into the open air of the tank, had a much easier job reorienting themselves for another attack. Ugh, everybody gets so fragile. I guess that's the trade-off you made when you split 3 creatures into a million. There's still too many there's still too goddamn many of you. He took his hand and smashed 2 together like a pancake. Another was creeping on his spine, and so he took it by the scruff of his neck and slapped it into the ground. Each one evaporated into dust after dying. And yet, there always seemed to be more spawning from somewhere just out of sight. Where's my combo meter? Well, that's the more of you there are, the more enjoyable this is for me. A single movement from Enk would crush or fatally wound 5 or more. Even those that withstood one assault on him didn't survive 2. Enk smacked, then cracked and clacked until he was breathing heavily, and the numbers around him began to show signs of thinning finally. Liam, are you doing okay? It won't be much longer now. I've drilled a big hole in my army. I've drilled a big hole in the army. Works. Each breath Liam took was painful, and getting even a single word out was a luxury he could barely afford. Still, he pushed himself harder. There was something he had to do. Put me down. Put you down. No can do. We'll ride this wave together. No, really. Put me down. The edge of the rock. Something calling me. Something thumping. Pulsing. It's safe. Hank looked up and began to realize the reason he hadn't been fighting for the last few minutes. The swarm had regrouped into 2 larger units, and by the looks of it, they were planning on swooping on them any second. The edge of the rock is safe. You mean where you used to curl up. Hi. Liam nodded, which sent a painful attack to his skull. I'll trust you. Just like you trusted me back in the kingdom. Like made sure that none of the dark creatures were there. He put William down gently. Again, he looked up. Not a moment too soon. The swarm was beginning to launch their attack. Liam had no idea just how many Ryukosho Enk was attempting to block. He could barely think. But he did realize something during the skirmish earlier. The heart beating that he heard while the Ryukosho feasted on him was not from his current state. It was from something else. And it called to him. Liam crawled just a little bit towards it, more and more. It was the ground. It was in the ground. He couldn't speak well right now, but he could use the mass of his energy to dig. That's when he noticed something. Above him, a lone enemy, wounded from the assault, on Enk. Presumably, this piece of Ryukosho was acting differently than the others. He saw that finishing off this tiny axolotl was a much easier task than tackling that other behemoth. Sorry, but this is my place. Even if it's been a long time, I still know this rock better than anyone else. Move out of the way. The way the rock curved, and the way the rock curved, that always reminded Liam of teeth. Back in the old days, he saw those teeth as something which could hurt him. If they could hurt him, they could certainly hurt something else. He threw himself, his tiny body weight, at the small Ryukosho. There wasn't much energy he exerted, nor was it particularly strong. But it was enough to surprise the weak creature. Caused him to float upwards into the spikes, which pierced him and turned him to dust. Coughs. With each cough, he felt like his chest might explode. Just a little longer. The pulsing was warm. Enk was protecting him, so he kept digging on.